Boy, I tell you one thing that what's his name? Moore, that is accused of having uh sexual contact with 14-year-olds and um 17-year-olds and 18. He likes teenagers when he was in his 30s. And I was listening to CNN News to Don Lennon, and the guy that was talking for Moore was insulting Don Lennon, calling him some weird ass name that I guess he must thought it was cute. And the whole time he kept saying the process, the process, the process. And he was saying that he was there to speak on an organization that the Moore had for I guess um the for to protect, I guess, the pedophiles. But anyway, I didn't understand what he was talking about because he was so argumentative and so dismissive to to Don Lennon, you know, and and he was saying, "Oh, he's just gonna win in December," you know. Really, I believe the story, and I believe it even more so that it has been a couple of decades because I could. Well, let me put it this way: what female hasn't met that type of racist person Moore is? I mean, if he's, I'm not saying he sexually abused you or anything, but you tried to have a conversation about something with him, and you know how racist and dismissive they are. So we all have had experience, especially females, with that. And if you're a female that's saying you didn't have experience, you need to check yourself because there's a lot of there's a lot of bottom bitches. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I mean, I've been around long enough where I've seen where they use guys like they're just taking them right out of college, like Columbia and New York, you know, coercing them to be pimps or whatnot, and to be in the sex industry and take movies and X-rated movies and do all this stuff. Then later on, the next thing you know, this guy's in his 50 and he's having anal sex in the movies with other guys, and all the teasing and all this. And one of the things that's very important, like, is that not them not maturing. You know what I'm saying? Like you hear guys talk about, oh yeah, well, I was listening to some interview. I think it was the Jesus and well, anyway, their YouTube. I can't think of the other guys, but anyway, they were talking to. I can't remember. Sort of late night. But anyway, the guy they were talking to, he always has two women, and he's saying when he was 13 he was sexually abused, and then he said for a long time he wouldn't even like eat pussy because he associated with the smell, you know, and until he found out that usually it has a smell. He didn't say that, but usually if they have a smell, they have some STD, or it could just be a musty ass motherfucker, honey. Who knows? But you know, so that could be a problem. Like if these women are overly sexed, they probably that reminds me of the story. This um, well, like this is a story I heard from another person, but it was like the police department. I used to like right next to police department. The police department, they had white sort of racist policemen. But anyway, they this one, the both of them had sex besides they had a wife, and besides their wife, they had sex with prostitutes. And this one guy, he liked them real young and white. Well, anyways, like some gorgeous blonde hair, blue eye. And I guess AIDS really like started like in the 70s. Like the first person heard about it was Arthur Ashe. Well, anyway, this girl supposedly they were saying she had some that antibiotics wouldn't cure, and um I don't think they found out that she had AIDS until the 80s. Well, he said, particularly this individual policeman, he had sex with underage girls, like they were accusing the Moor of, like 14, 15, 16, 17. Also, he was in his 30s, but he was like, oh, they weren't having no STDs because he likes virgins, or they had to have limited amount, but because you know the situation that she was in, pretty much her mom was um, tricking her out, and basically have her in the bed, didn't have have some guy come in there or whatever, and so like instead of arresting the mom or something, basically, you know, but anyway, um, so he ended up with AIDS, gave it to his wife, and this is like the on the earliness of it. Well, his partner, who sort of laughed, his other woman, he had a couple of kids, like 3 or 4 kids, with his wife. They lived out in New Jersey. Some a woman that he was seeing in the South Bronx somewhere, where like because of the bad school and no job situation, a lot of prostitution, and of course drug use. Drugs are always filtered in that area because I think at that time they were tearing down a lot of the projects and the Russians were moving in. So like to um, move in like the white people, you got to move the black people out, and usually, you could get uh, just start that tough love thing, kick your kids out of the house, stuff like that. So the whole neighborhood is devastated. No jobs, no money, and um, owners of these places are burning these places down for insurance. And so anyway, so he had a woman up there, and he had kids with her, and um, she was also a prostitute, just like the white thing, but she was in the South Bronx. Now this is in the 80s. She ends up with AIDS, and like he doesn't like really help her out or anything with the kids because she's such a whore, or whatever. It's funny to him is to see her suffer. uh, you know, he could go home to his nice house and nice car and everything. She had a little lot. But anyway, her he was already I think like the young kids was him, but the older anyway he was already having sex with the older daughter, and so they both had caught AIDS, and it's because they chose to have sex in such a narcissistic way. Like anyway, so but this like over here, the policeman, and they always looking for a scapegoat. Racist, ignorant people always looking for a scapegoat, like Trump and his people. Even though Trump people have money appear to them, the police over here. This is one girl. We'll leave her nameless. We'll call her Scuttlebutt. Scuttlebutt was staying with this guy who had another guy living there, and uh, he was calling her supposed to be his sister and nephew. Well, anyway, Scuttlebutt was a prostitute. A policeman who also was married but was dating a girl up on Brooks Road, Titty Bar, whatever, up there. A young girl in her 20s. He in his 60s. And Scuttlebutt is in her 30s. Well, anyway, so he had sex with the girl on Brooks, right? He's he's married though. His wife is in West Memphis, so he's having sex with the girl, the wife, and the girl up there. Well, he turns around, and it's funny. When he turns around, has sex with Scuttlebutt, right after having with the stripper, right? So he has Scuttlebutt. Scuttlebutt gets sick from him having the hooker. I guess it's AIDS or whatever whatever, you know. And so she gives it to her supposedly was her brother gives it a nephew. She has sex with the guy next door. At the same time, she's having sex with two other brothers, right? Okay, and um, like the two other brothers, I found out about it because those two are going to their vets. They're going up to the VA hospital to get this all taken care of. Yeah. But because like they anyway, so Scuttlebutt gets blamed for giving the STD to the policeman when the policeman had gave it to her that he had got from the stripper. You know, everybody was having sex with Scuttlebutt after with the policeman. Well, anyway, I believe that's the policeman ended up shooting another one of his girlfriends that so another like I think she was the stripper. She had like 5 kids or whatever. But anyway, so like a lot of times the men will not take responsibility. He ends up shooting the other girl, the stripper, with these 5 kids, you know. But it was his choice to even start with her, to continue. It was his choice to have sex with Scuttlebutt and try to harass and blame her for it for the whole time anyway. So yeah, I believe that the Moor did it because I sit around and I watch like what I'm saying. And the one thing is the way they're talking about it. And there was another interview where the guy Moore was talking, and he's just argumentative, and I guess it was a radio interview. He's just argumentative, and he's like trying to use the example of the older girls that accused him of sexually deviant behavior, rapist behavior. It's a nice word, pedophile, but they're rapists, you know. Um, and because I've been 14, and there's no way that you don't want no 30-year-old, and especially the way he looks and the way he talks. You know what I'm saying? That mother, you mothers got to realize you can't just leave your kids with people that you don't know. I don't care if they're a doctor or a lawyer or a candlestick maker, or the plumber. You don't know this person. She didn't know him from Adam. I don't care if he's like whatever his. But anyway, but it happens because we try to tell these parents, oh, your kids need mentors. Right. Okay, well, anyway, so it happens. And that's the number one thing and that's why a lot of females don't go what? Because like this guy's like, oh, she's gonna destroy my life, so let me destroy this kid's life. They can be very addictive. They already like raped the child. So then like if the child speaks on it, goes to the police or something, child's gonna be called a liar. If you gotta go in front of court, you gotta speak on stuff that is not anything that you're taught to be comfortable to have a conversation with. It's not like if people do talk about sex, it's about them wanting it. It's not about the consequences. You don't sit around with your friends and like, say like, yeah, I guess If you sit around having sex with that nasty person over there without a rubber, you're gonna get AIDS. Like, but you go ahead and date them, or if they're dating them, yeah, and he also dating that. He also having sex with that nasty other person over there. Anyway, I believe it because you know that's how they got away with it all these years. And that's how it works, is that we're supposed to be more concerned about a grown person that makes a decision to have sex with a minor. Uh, um, that the minors, they're always liars, and usually what happens is that the kid gets so much pressure. It's such a stigma that a lot of times they might figure, well, let me just tell them it's not true, and then maybe everybody go away and leave me alone and stop harassing me. you know um and then that doesn't work either. So, but and that's why they could get away with it for years and years, because you're gonna be called a lie. You could, even if you go run down to the emergency room, get a rape kit put on you. You don't have to call 911 to take your ass down to the emergency room. When you get there, just tell them I was raped. I like the rape kit. You call them on the way. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing they're gonna say is don't behave. As soon as you get there, you know what I'm saying? It. So, but so that's about the only thing you can do. And if it's a child under 8, you don't really want them to be examined like that, because then again they're being innocence violated again, and you don't want, so. But there's ways of looking, because there's going to be tearing, there's going to be ripping, you know, and just some fat, and there's going to be some evidence, even if there's not sperm left behind. But and it's more humiliating if a boy gets raped. Automatically, he's not gonna be like gonna get the understanding or respect that he needs. They're gonna call him gay or faggot, and I know because I've seen it. Child gets raped, he's maybe has to have sutures. He's in his anus. It's severe. Also, it could be. These people are not having. I've heard about this guy that raped this little baby, and he had her on his penis like this, and he's just shaking her up and down, and she ended up with dying from that baby shaking syndrome or whatever, that where the brain is just getting banged up against the skull because they're still developing. But anyway, they're just going like this with the child, like what I'm saying. So men are taught in a sense that you can get away with it. So he's not fit really to be the hell no office. And whatever that guy's talking about, procedures, and prove it. And prove a lie. You're saying that, oh, she did this and she did that. Well, she probably ate and had a shit too. So what? You know what I'm saying? What are you gonna say? Oh, she ain't 14 no more. She smokes, drinks, and have sex. Yeah, yeah, maybe after she got in her 20s and stuff. Yeah, maybe she was clubbing like a lot of us. Maybe her college days, she might have smoked some weed. Oh my God, and drank some wine. Just whatever. You know what I'm saying? She lived her life just like he lived his life, right? But when their life crossed, what was his behavior? You know what I'm saying? I guess he don't have to be responsible that a 14-year-old was the one ruling him, the one that drove him. She drove him to his house, Anyway, he did it. He protests too much.